Hello there, guys. Welcome back to another episode of E&Ftv. And today is a very special one as it's the episode 2 of our check-in series with Danica, talking all things guest experience, all things trends in the market. Danica, thank you so much for joining me again for our check-in series.
Oh, I love our series, and I come armed with exciting, slightly random data from TripAdvisor this time, Tom.
I love
Going
it. I love
into.
it.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. This data is from TripAdvisor's Trendcast report.
Yes.
And whilst I'm focusing specifically on the data from this report, all of the other data points are heading to this direction as well.
Interesting.
The methodology, what we're looking at is this data has been based on over 2 million data points from bookings, from
Okay.
reviews, and from forum conversations on the TripAdvisor ecosphere.
Right. Okay. All right. Understood. I'm looking forward to this because the last one was awesome. We had some great feedback. So I'm looking forward to this and I'm looking forward to the questions. So yeah, go on. Go
All
ahead.
right, okay. And it's no surprise. So I think let's recap kind of this year and in 2025 we started on this as well. And it was
Yeah.
really the way travelers and guest behavior has shifted. It's no
Hmm.
longer about the room, it's no longer about the bed, the pillow that your head lies on. It's all about the meaning.
Sure.
And that trend continues to go into that direction. And I think
Right.
last time we touched on things like farm to table,
Yeah.
and people really wanting to have meaning behind their guest experience and the
Yeah.
properties that they're choosing and staying at. And so, in that sense, nothing has changed, but it sure as hell elevated even more. And I think, Tom, that's just the reflection of AI becoming so integral,
Yeah.
such an integral part of our day-to-day lives. There's so much data of how AI has actually correlated to overwhelm. It's not
Sure.
making us more efficient, it's just adding more to our plate. So that
Hmm.
sense of when we travel, we really need to feel connection, take a moment for ourselves. And so that's what we're looking at today.
Sure. Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
no longer just the buzzwords. This is really focusing on why guests are choosing the properties that they're choosing, the types of holidays, the types of experience that they're choosing.
Yeah.
And it's really what story are they coming home with? So
Yeah.
this TripAdvisor's Trendcast report is all about evoking not just magical moments, which was what it was on Q1. This is
Hmm.
really about magical moments combined with authentic storytelling.
Okay. All
And
right.
I think it's so ironic when we have AI, we're the
Mhm.
data
I
showing
know where
us
you're
that
going with this.
people want authentic human
Human.
stories.
Yeah. Yeah. But the
Yeah,
computer's the one that's telling us that. It's interesting, isn't
exactly.
it?
Exactly. So I've got 7 trends from the data report, and we're going to
Okay.
jump into it. Okay. So the first one is all about active travel, sweat travel. Now, this one
Okay.
is a personal one for me because I actually booked a trip all around a 100K ultra desert trek in the Sahara Desert last year.
Wow.
And
Okay.
the
All
purpose
right.
was, to walk 100K with 30 strangers.
Sure. Sure.
And I actually did a LinkedIn post, and all of the comments, people were saying yes. Somebody was saying they're going to Wales with their squash team for a weekend. You
Very
know,
cool.
high rocks, Ironmans.
Yeah.
These are all becoming, not just daily part of exercise and the
Yeah.
shift there, but part of travel. People are now traveling with squash teams,
Hmm.
bowling teams. So TripAdvisor call it sweat jetting. So this is think about
I love the names for these. Okay,
sweat
go
jetting,
on.
exactly. Yeah. So this is really active travel, but the ultras, the sports travel, the racecations. I love that
I love
terminology.
that as well. Yeah.
And this trend is split into two halves. So we have the guests that are the crazy ones that are doing the racecations, the
Yeah.
marathon trips, the ultras. And then we have the second half of the guests that are all about booking stadiums, wanting to
Yeah.
witness the sporting that's happening. Obviously, we have the World Cup this year, so there's
Yeah.
lots going on.
Yeah.
So this is way beyond, oh, a gym is really important to me.
Yeah. Okay.
This is where am I going to keep my bike? Where am I going to store my, all of the equipment that I need?
Yeah.
Group bookings. How am I going to book with my squash team don't know how many teams are in a squash team. Is it
No,
four,
no.
2, 12? I don't know. 30? So from a hotelier's perspective, it really changes the guest experience
Yeah.
from booking right the way to operationally what you're delivering. So some stats from the data, if we look at TripAdvisor highlights huge visitor uptakes around major marathons.
Yeah.
Marathons are a real focus point in 2026. Chicago marathon visitors, an increase of 300%. Boston
Wow.
up to 228. Berlin visitors during the Berlin marathon had an increase of 222%.
Bloody
And
hell.
overall, stadium tour and sports experience bookings had an increase of 25% year on year.
Okay.
So, if we look at Chicago, Boston, and Berlin marathons, they're very established. They've been
Yeah.
in the calendar for many, many years, but it's
Yeah.
in 2026 that we're seeing these huge spikes of interest and guest bookings. Um,
Okay.
and then, of course, wouldn't be me if I didn't bring in the random stats that TripAdvisor or Booking bring. And there are some very specific tours that TripAdvisor have released in their stats as well. So, for
Okay.
example, glacier tours are up 29% year
Yeah.
on year. Lava field excursions are up 79%.
Okay.
And this is definitely for the rich ones. Heli hiking is up 50.
So what? They get
You get a
taken up and then
helicopter down. Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and then for those of us that can't afford heli hiking, cliff jumping and diving is up 34%.
Yeah, okay. That's always been one that I feel like it's a very they're looking for a rush, right? That is the one where
Absolutely.
the fear seekers or whatever. I've never been one of them, but my partner Danny absolutely is. So there you go.
So you can relate to how needy they are during during their training. I had the pleasure of in 2012, shout out to Carl Mitchell. He was a general manager at the time at Apex Temple Court. So they were opening the London hotel during the
Right.
Olympics, and he was training for an Ironman.
Oh wow.
And I remember sitting in meetings with him, and he would have to eat 3 bowls of pasta during that 1 hour,
Wow.
commercial meeting that I was having. So, as a hotelier, it's really important if you're going to attract these kind of guests, you can operationally deliver it. So,
Mm,
this is really thinking about, okay, like we said, like early breakfasts, late checkouts, ice baths, physio partnerships, looking at
hmm.
your, what's around, recovery menus as well. So recovery is a big part. Um, Looking at your local neighborhood, how can you build local running maps, cycling routes, hiking guides?
Right.
So if you have a Berlin Marathon, there's so many cool things that you can do pre-event and post-event here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really, you need to train your front of desk, concierge, or front of facing staff to really understand what's happening locally and what is the
Hmm.
mindset of those athletes that are coming
Yeah.
to your property. So it's really fun because, if you're somebody who's trained 6 months or a year for a marathon, the hotel experience started way before the check-in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that hotel stay, yes, it might be for 2 nights, but it's such a big part of my journey as an athlete training.
Yeah.
So it's a great way for hotels to really spark loyalty,
Hmm.
really go out of the way to make them feel special.
Yeah.
And then, they're going to book the event back with you the next year. So
Of
I
course.
think it's a really great way of meeting expectations and growing loyalty on
Yeah.
these kind of isolated pockets.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's one of those where if you create that guest experience to a point where they are just blown away because they're not going to really expect that from a 2 day, as you said, like a 2 day trip. It's just not going to
Yeah.
be something that would generally happen. But
Yeah.
my thoughts immediately go to like you said about recovery and food and everything else. They could create sort of like a post marathon
Absolutely.
menu or something like that, or
Yes.
whatever, directed towards certain nutrient dense foods that are going to help with recovery and
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah. And I think go like be more creative. You know, we're all about being bold and pushing out
Hmm.
the boat in that sense. Like instead of just having your local therapist from your hotel offer a special massage,
Yeah.
why not do some research and get, I don't know, the IV drips for rehydration
Yes. Yeah,
to
I've seen
bring
those. Yeah.
into that massage environment? That's the level of expectation.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is these travelers have money. I
Mm.
read a statistic. The average Ironman has an average salary of £200,000.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
expensive
Okay.
sport, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
these ultras, you know, if you're going to
They're
have a
not
heli,
cheap.
if you want to do a heli hike, you can afford to have a drip in your massage, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
From a P&L point of view for the operators, you know, I think it's great because this cluster of guests are willing to spend a lot of money in these activities. So, you
Yes.
know, you can get the best physiotherapists, the medical IV drips, whatever it might be, the you know, hire the storage for the ultra bikes that they bring
Yeah.
in. And so I think it's quite a profitable package that hotels can really have fun with. So that was the
Yeah,
first
for
one,
sure.
sweat jetting.
Sweat jetting. Okay, cool. All right.
I need to
Yep.
find a new one. Now, the second one is back to food and beverage, good old
Yep.
food and beverage, which, you know, we've seen since COVID, it's really become important. We all know, you know, about total revenue and how much F&B spend can help those profit margins. And last time we looked at people really wanting to understand where the food came from, where is it
Yes.
sourced, and this farm to table ethos.
Yeah.
That trend is very much there, but now TripAdvisor calls it the future foodists.
Okay.
And
All
what
right.
we're seeing with this shift is not only do people want to know where does the food come from,
Yeah.
where is it sourced, they want to know the tradition behind it.
Yeah.
Who makes it and why do they make it that way?
Yeah.
You know, so it's no longer I'm in Italy and I want in Rome and I want to find the local cool restaurant with the homemade pasta.
Yeah.
I now want to know the granny story of how she got the recipe and how she passed it along. And it's that storytelling, which is
Yeah.
the evolution of the farm to table kind of concept. And what we've seen from TripAdvisor's Trendcast report is bookings for food experience have been growing since 2023.
Hmm.
Street food tours are up 36% year on year. Culinary gourmet tours are up 25%.
Yeah. Okay.
This is where the uniqueness comes in. Heritage market bookings are also surging. So when we look at Singapore hawker centers, it's up 129%.
Right.
Um, Tokyo's Tusakiji market
Yeah. Yeah.
is up 80% year on year. So, you know,
Interesting.
whether it's the future foodist or TripAdvisor also call it the investigative drinking, it's
Okay.
really, you know, not just going to Scotland for a whiskey tour, but the
Yeah.
storytelling of why did they choose that barrel and who made that barrel and how is that barrel part of the process of the
Yeah.
whiskey. Don't know if whiskey's made in barrels.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh yeah,
sure.
that yeah,
Casks.
you know the
Casks.
casks. So yeah, it's really all about understanding the story of who's pouring the glass and who's making the food that's on your
Sure.
table.
Yeah. And you're this is something we picked up on last time, but I remember no, I don't even think it was naivety. I think it was coming from a sort of a place of it was a legitimate thing of like I said before, where does it end? Does it end with people owning farms? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It goes all the way through because I know in me I'm a big foodie and you mentioned the markets out in
yeah.
China.
Last time, yeah, yeah,
One of the key things that I wanted to do when I traveled around the Philippines was I wanted to get to the Filipino night markets, the night food
hmm
markets, because there was I've heard so much about the bustle and the quality of the food and the authenticity, and it was everything that I dreamt it to be. And you're right. I think as consumers, I'm a lot more conscious about where my food comes from and how it's, raised and so on and so forth.
yeah,
And I think that certainly would translate into my future travel trips for sure. And I think it makes a
yeah,
lot of sense. But as I say, I don't know how far I would take it. So I don't, because, I'd love to meet a farmer that is creating the food that's going to be on my plate. Of course I would. But after that, do I want to become a farmhand? Do you
Yeah.
know?
Well,
Or
that's the thing. Like the data is showing us that not only do you want to meet that farmer, you want to know his story. You
yeah,
want to hear
yeah, yeah,
the pain of waking up at 5 a.m. and
yeah,
why, how many generations has he had in his family and
yeah,
what's happened with the political landscape with farmers. And
yeah.
that's like the evolution of not just meeting the farmer and seeing the food that
Yes,
he's made. We now want to know more
yes,
about
yeah,
that
yeah,
person. So it's that again, that story, that authenticness, and really, just the curiosity that guests are having around the guest
yeah.
experience.
As you said, it seems to be becoming much more to like that human level, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's that it's
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely.
that
That's what
basic
this is all
human
about.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
You
that's
know,
really cool. I
so
like that.
if we look at this one, in terms of that curious, like, so how can hotels take this trend and maybe put it into practice?
Yeah,
Think about, obviously partnering with local producers, farms,
yeah,
markets, distilleries, family-run suppliers, but thinking of how can you bring their story into the guest experience. So
sure.
maybe create a meet the maker moment inside the hotel
Hmm.
where, that farmer comes and talks about the generations he's had in his family and the farm,
Yeah,
or the difficulties he's had trying to keep the farm,
yeah,
and so it's kind of like it's no longer good enough just to have organic ingredients sourced from the farm down the road on
yeah,
your
yeah,
menu. You've got to
yeah,
keep up in your game if you want to tap into, the foodies that we all are becoming.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And again, it makes complete sense, right? That's where things are going.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. Really interesting.
And it's just again, it comes back to the trend of making magical moments and bringing people at the forefront. It's so fun. I mean,
Yeah,
if I'm a GM or an operator and I have this great relationship with the local farm and it's commercially beneficial, what a great
yeah,
way to actually get to know them and
yeah.
bring their amazing story to my guests.
Well, you're seeing much more of a trend as well of hotels really tapping into their local communities, sort of really trying to not only support that local community aspect, but bring it into the hotel. And this is a perfect
Yeah,
and almost obvious way of doing that. You're connecting with the producer, you're bringing them into the fold, but then at the same time, you're bringing the guest in, and it all makes commercial sense.
absolutely. Yeah.
There's no downside, right?
Yeah,
There's none.
exactly. Exactly. Okay, so the third one, and this
Hmm.
one's been, and certainly for me as a guest experience advisor, I've probably done this piece of research over the last 5 years, three times with different clients of
Okay.
pet tourism.
Okay,
And
yeah, I'm here
now,
for this one. I'm here
yeah,
for
like
this one.
VIP pet tourism. I feel like certainly in the UK, many, I've worked with a service apartment brand and two hotel brands that were, you know, on the fence of should we or shouldn't we? And I did data research for them.
Yeah.
And now this is one of TripAdvisor's 2026 Trendcast trends. VIP
Yeah,
pet
okay.
tourism. So dog-friendly experience bookings are up 260% year on year. So
Holy hell.
2026 Q1 versus 2025, 260. That's a
Wow.
lot of people looking for dog-friendly experiences on
Yeah, yeah.
TripAdvisor's platform. Cat related experiences as well. Everything from cat cafes
Yes.
um, to cat drawings to cat
Yeah.
themed to welcoming cats. That's also up 760%.
Holy hell.
I know. So all the dog
Oh
lovers,
my
cats,
God.
760%. TripAdvisor's research, and experiences with
Wow.
rescue animals up 36% year on year.
I like that
So,
one. Yeah.
the data is there.
Yeah.
Anyone thinking about bringing in some sort of pet tourism campaign, I think
Do
it's
it.
worth
Oh
exploring.
my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what does this mean for the hoteliers? Well, the decision maker might be changing. Sometimes it
Okay.
could be the parent that's saying, like, okay, we're going to bring the dog. But
Mm.
there is this rise, which we touched on last time, about children being
Yes.
owning that booking part.
Yep.
And I can see it. My 7-year-old is always like, why can't Pippa and Cooper our
Yeah.
dogs, why can't they come with us? They're part of the family.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
So, and sometimes it's the dog themselves. Can't get care. I have a dog that
Yeah.
escapes. I can't put her, nobody can look after her because she's a nightmare. So she has to come with us. So this is really, understanding how can pets be the purpose of the booking? What can we
Yes.
accommodate to make the pet central beyond just, bring your pet and we're going to charge you an extra
Yeah.
50 euros per night?
Yeah. 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 And
Yeah.
again, so from that, so because I've always had this thing of, and I take it there's no differentiators here, but we've always talked about could we go on a maybe a European holiday where we can bring the dogs onto the plane? And
Yeah.
every time we've done research on YouTube and stuff like that, it'll always say, yeah, we did this travel, we did this, we did that. But when it actually comes to trying to find something, it's actually really, really difficult to find something that feels easy, straightforward, and all that sort of stuff. It just becomes almost a really difficult process, and then you just become stressed
Yeah.
with it. So, do you think that from a guest experience perspective, as a result of these trends, that guest journey will become better or easier,
Yeah,
or
and
do you,
I
or
think
is that
you've
something we all hope, I guess?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head, Tom. Like, I'm if I'm a hotel and I want to explore into being, we allow dogs, we're pet friendly,
Mm,
then why not have, on your frequently asked questions, some information about
yeah,
traveling with a pet?
yeah,
If you're in the UK, I can't bring my dogs into the UK because it's an island. I can
yeah,
drive. Now, if it was a London hotel that made that really clear of
yeah,
how then that's like such a great value add in that booking
yeah,
process. And
yeah,
I think again, disjointed, revenue and might think, okay, like an operations come together and say, right, we allow dogs, but
hmm,
does that filter through the guest journey with your example, the frequently asked questions? I think
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
huge barrier to people traveling with pets.
yeah.
And
No,
so
that's fair.
it's that mindset shift of, okay, if we're going to do this, let's do this all the way. So, instead of just saying, we allow dogs, we're pet friendly, think about including the pet amenities, dog
Yeah,
walking maps,
yeah,
local dog friendly cafes and restaurants,
yeah,
emergency vet information, you know,
yeah. It's a
go
good
the
one.
full mark, and these is
Yeah, yeah,
especially with AI, this is content that, a hotel stressed out marketer could gather together in 1 hour and
yeah,
push that content out.
yeah.
Um,
I know it
so
sounds excessive as well, right? And this is going to really possibly expose me, but so we make our dog's food, so we do it all, and it's all
nice.
fresh and raw and all the rest of it. Um, is there an opportunity there? And they might already be doing it, but I'm just thinking out loud because we always think to ourselves, if we're going to leave the dogs with someone, we need to pre-prepare all these, fresh foods for our dogs. Is there an opportunity there? And again, this might sound really excessive, but what if the hotel also provided fresh made to your dogs, whether it is raw, whether they usually have this or that, or the other. That's also an opportunity and a revenue provider,
Absolutely.
right? Because people are obsessed with
Absolutely.
their dogs and
Yeah.
cats, of course.
And imagine the markup on that as
Well,
well.
this is it. It's like it'd be awesome. Like you'd have like
Exactly.
if you could say like if you're staying for 3 days, we need six loads of different meals for them, and they could have lamb or they could have beef or they could have this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden you've got like a doggy menu,
Yeah.
and you can
Yeah.
really dive into that.
And from a kind of look, book, and search perspective, by
Mm.
having something very niche like that,
Yeah,
it's a great way of being found on the LLM models as well.
yeah, yeah,
I'm on ChatGPT. Where can I take my medium-sized dogs in London?
yeah.
That's going to give me the experience that I want. If you have a dog-specific menu, the
Yeah.
content's there. It's a great way of standing out and being found in new ways of being
Yeah.
searched. So,
I have
yeah.
no doubt there's got to be a hotel out there somewhere that's got a doggy menu. Do you know what I mean? Like there's got to be
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So hoteliers, shout out to us. I mean, I've stayed in hotels before when I used to have a chihuahua, so it was a lot easier. He was
Yeah,
small. Where like you have the dog amenities and
yeah.
which was really cute. But I think again, it's like going that step further to meet the
Hmm.
needs of this guest experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next trend,
Yep.
evolution, we touched on this last time. It's a
Hmm.
kid's world.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
I love this
you
one.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
the latest child-led parenting craze puts big trip planning tasks into the hands of the children and grandchildren. You know, this isn't
Okay.
just parents, this is grandchildren as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're giving the kiddos the direction of where they want to go, what they want to do, and how they want to travel. So, the new rules of family travel are simple. Kids are picking where to go and what to do, and then the grown-ups are handling logistics and payment.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh,
this is where you can have a lot of fun. So, I've got some specific examples from the TripAdvisor research here.
okay.
Greenville is a property in South Carolina, and they have a full yes day itinerary where kids
Ooh.
call all the shots from the meals, the activities, the opening hours, everything. Kid focus guided tours, a yes day. I mean, I give my kids a yes day and like they love it. Now
Yeah.
imagine doing that on holiday where the hotel is all for the children's yes day.
That sounds
Very
pretty epic. It sounds like chaos, but it sounds pretty epic.
It does. It does. Um, and it's also, this is like operationally, and again, coming back to being very clear as a
Mm,
hotel of who are you operating. You know, when you are looking to be kid friendly,
yeah.
you know, what are you going to do for the fidgety kindergartens to the over at teenagers?
Yeah.
Very different needs. So that's something that's really important to think about. How do you engage them throughout these kind of kid influenced trips?
Yeah.
So when we look at the data, yeah, kid travel, kid tickets have risen year on year, 19% on overall experiences and
Hmm.
40% on kid-friendly heritage tours.
Kid-friendly heritage tours. Okay. What is that?
And
What is
yeah,
that?
so I guess that's kind of like your normal heritage tours, but kid-friendly.
Okay.
So for
All right.
example, in London, you know, how can you do the ghost tour? Or in
Yeah.
Edinburgh, the Mr. Ripley tours, but how do you
Yeah.
make that toddler friendly?
Fine. Okay.
Snacks.
Understood.
I'm going to say you need snacks, you need respites, you know, nothing too scary,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
more snacks.
Yeah. More snack. Just keep the
More
snacks.
snacks,
Keep the
keep the
snacks
snacks
coming.
going.
Yeah.
And actually, on that, on this kind of trend around kid focused travel, there's been a 47% increase on kid friendly cooking classes.
I love that one. I love,
Hmm.
love, love that one.
Hmm. So again, how can we bring the kitchen into the experience
Yeah.
with our children? Children-led focused.
Yeah, I like that. Because I'm really passionate about young people knowing how to cook anyway,
Yeah.
and I think it's a great opportunity for actually parents and children to um it's sort of a learning process, and I think it's like also like it gives them a bit of empowerment. You know, I cooked that, I made
Uh-huh.
that, and it was delicious.
Absolutely, yeah. And then if you combine it with the other trend of like you know, the foodie storytelling, like what a great way to
Yeah,
inspire a kid in organic produce when he hears the hard work. There's a lot of
yeah,
life lessons that we can use food to teach our children as
yep.
well.
Completely agree.
So
Completely agree.
that's a fun one.
That's that was my the kid one last time was actually one of my favorites, and I think
Yeah.
it's again this time because I think it's such a great idea and there's so many opportunities in it.
Yeah, so shout out to any hoteliers that took our advice around the booking process and how can you make that kid friendly.
Yeah.
Has anybody implemented that? Let us know. I would
Yeah.
love
Put it
to
in the
find
comments down
out.
below.
Put it
I'd
in the
love to hear that.
comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the sixth trend.
Yep.
This is the thrill of the find. So,
Thrill
in
of
a
the find.
world of mass-produced everything, Sheen,
Yep.
Shine, Temu, Amazon, you know, again, whilst that becomes a fundamental part of many people's lives, when we travel, we want to move away from that. So there is
Yep.
this trend of travelers booking experiences that allow them to find, and in some cases, make one of a kind keepsakes.
Okay.
So guests are looking for the real, the rare, the old. You know, travelers are shopping in for hunting gems,
Yeah.
wanting to find something that has a story, that means something that's not, you know, one of a kind.
Mm.
So TripAdvisor's research shows that cities like Berlin, Paris, Tokyo, Copenhagen, travelers are swapping big name brands
Yeah.
for retail that's rooted in community, from indie boutiques to antique
Sure.
shops to thrift stores, flea markets, artist studios, coming back to that community,
Yeah.
slowing the pace down. If I'm coming to London, I don't want to go to Oxford Street. I want to go and take my time and feel these rare gems that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So think of guided shopping tours, in the lesser known neighborhoods, to browsing treasured local finds, hand forged knives in Japan, cult butters in France, and vintage ceramics in Portugal. So, what are the best souvenirs your location can offer that are rare, unique,
Yeah.
authentic storytelling? That's what we want. We want to see.
There's
Um,
there's such a common trend in all this. Like
yeah,
it's all it's sort of not regret. It's all going back
back to
to
the
the.
basics.
Like I find it really odd, and you sort of alluded to it at the start, where the more advanced our technology is getting, it's almost helping us, or no, not helping us, influencing us, weirdly enough, to
Absolutely.
go backwards.
Yeah, because our pace of life is so relentless. When
Mm,
we travel, we want this slow, authentic, back to basics, back to the what, nature, no screens. It's all,
mm,
all of the trends, whether it's food, it's, activities, it's nature, it's community, it's all we need this when we travel. It's going to become our respite. And I personally
yeah,
think that's how
yeah,
we sustain, the rat race of AI and the chaos that we live day by day. The
yeah.
the respites and our travel now have a significant need, I think, on a psychological and physical and
Mm.
spiritual and emotional level.
I,
So
I'm honestly, I'm here for it.
yeah, me
I'm a
too.
big
And
fan of this. Yeah,
and some of the brands like Hyatt Hotels, they offer private pottery and ceramics classes in certain
right.
locations, allow guests to mold their own pieces and pack it in their bags. Like that's such a
That's
nice
cool. Yeah,
keepsake, very low cost, little
yeah,
uptake, and such a great, impact for the guests when they leave your property.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so the TripAdvisor stats around this of kind of like what do they call it? Of thrill of the find.
yeah.
60% increase in vintage discovery shopping tours.
Okay,
Uh,
interesting.
you know, 52% increase year on year on hands-on local workshops,
Yeah,
and 75% increase on craft classes.
yeah. Again,
So
I get it.
yeah,
We did something recently. It was like a ring making class. I don't know if you may have
nice.
already done one before, but
No, we'd
we
love
got to go,
to.
walk away with it and keep it. And just when you said that again, it just resonates quite clearly with me. Of I really enjoyed it. Like it was not something I would ever usually book, but my
Yeah,
partner Danny was like, "I'd love to do this. What do you think?" And we did it, and it was genuinely a really fun afternoon with a lovely person that was telling us all about it. And yeah, no, I completely get that. And again, it's sort of it's that building of memories
yeah,
and
yeah,
keeping that
exactly.
keepsake on as part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, make it meaningful, making life meaningful, Tom.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
fantastic to see this data. That's why I love our check-in series.
I
So that
genuinely love this. This is
I
so
know, because
cool.
it makes me feel good about humanity, well, certainly
Yeah.
hospitality. And at
Yeah, it's
least,
so true.
if our industry can give the world that little respite from the
Yeah.
craziness, how honored are we to be a part of that? It's
Yeah.
so cool as what we're making for the industry and what we're giving people back and improving their life quality. So I am here for these trends.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
so the final one, this isn't new, but it's certainly, and I hope lots of hoteliers are tapping into this with partnerships and communities. It's what they call the Flex Lux. So
Okay.
obviously we know, stream purses are being tightened,
Yeah.
cost of living, doom and gloom out there, but we still want to treat ourselves,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this is really the era of the a la carte luxury. How can travelers buy into the high-end experiences, whether that's just a seat, whether that's a pool pass, rather than going in and booking the 5-stay week holiday.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
myself do this with my husband, and I think we spoke about this last time. If we go camping, I love camping, I love glamping. I should say glamping instead of camping. I need a shower and a toilet. But if I go glamping, and we're having a barbecue, we definitely will go check out the Michelin star in the city for
Yeah,
a one
yeah,
night treat.
yeah, for
So
sure.
this is that continued of really like how can you tap into high-end experiences instead of having the commitment, instead of the entire package. So
Yeah,
think of slices of luxury, book day passes to five-star pools, single seats and private planes,
yeah.
and more that kind of element. So there's some examples here of hotels that have done this very well. The Summer House in Singapore
Okay.
has a garden domes where you can go and rent in VIP vibes by the hour.
Yeah.
So think of kind of like semi-private pods, or cornered off cocoons for VIP vibes, but for a
Yeah.
little bit less. The
Yeah.
Shangri-La in India offers rooftop dining cabins with skyline views, for example,
Nice.
on one night stays.
Yeah.
And there's lots of examples of this. So the data shows us that travelers are seeking these kind of time cap slices, affordable pieces of luxury. There's
Yeah.
been an 80% increase in bookings for day passes at hotels, resorts, and beach clubs.
Hmm.
So again, like if you are a five-star property or you have a fantastic spa, beach club, hotel,
Yeah.
bar, how can you look to offer that up into maybe that someone that's not your ICP in a
Hmm.
day capacity?
Ju-
Um,
I've literally done this and I didn't know it had a terminology. So,
yeah, flex
uh,
lux.
yeah, so about, I think it was either last year or the year. No, it definitely wasn't last year. It was the year before. We went to Mexico, but we just went. We stayed in like the first week an Airbnb. But one of the reasons we booked that was because we knew that just down the road there was a lovely, I think it was a 4 or 5 star hotel, but you could have day passes. So you could just go
Yeah,
for the day, you get a slight discount on the food, and then you got access to the swimming pool and everything else. And then literally about 10 minutes down the other way, there was a beach club and you could just have a day pass. So we
exactly.
got we got the Airbnb for a lot cheaper because, for a family of three,
Yeah,
we got it for like 50 quid a night. But then we
yeah,
got to enjoy these two things as and when we wanted. I didn't even know
yeah,
that that was had a
yeah.
terminology, but I absolutely am in that space. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a great way of operators thinking about who is their guests and
Yeah.
understanding that their guests are evolving. And this is what this data shows us.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the final one, so there was eight. This is a bonus one to
I was
end
going to
on a
say there
nice
was seven,
high.
but
Yeah,
okay,
there were
let's do
seven,
it.
but now we're on number eight because this, for me, this encompasses the previous seven, and it's
Okay.
humanized hospitality.
Yeah.
So, travelers are booking experience with on the ground locals,
Yeah.
connections that are making things more meaningful, thanks to, ironically, AI. Our search terms. Now, like algorithms are routing everyone in your feed to the same Insta famous coffee shop. We're all seeing the same thing. So this is, what we're looking for is the actual local human who knows the better spots around the corner, who can source, the best butter for the knockout croissants when you're in
Yeah.
Paris. So the data here shows us that travelers are eager to make real connections on the ground.
Hmm.
38% increase on experience bookings with local guides or hosts
Yeah.
year on year. Now, this is a little bit of concern for me regarding hotels because I've been getting
Okay.
to know the short stay rental markets. And
Uh-huh.
this is something that they do very well. If you think of Airbnb's model, Airbnb launched their experiences. If you go and stay in an Airbnb, you get a
Mm.
lovely welcome pack with the local tours. This is concerning for hotels because, Booking.com's process and, the OTAs now include the short-term rentals.
Right. Right.
So
Yes.
I'm a guest and I'm going to Edinburgh. Got a 4 night. Oh, next week. I'm going to Marrakesh with my girlfriends for
Okay.
a annual girls' weekend. We
Yeah.
really don't care if we stay in a hotel. We don't care if we stay in an Airbnb. We have our to-do list.
Yes.
So if somebody is offering me this, it's more likely to be the
Yeah.
Airbnb and the short-term rentals. So
Yes.
hotels. I'm concerned for some of the hoteliers that there's a whole chunk of occupancy that the STR market can still very easily,
Yeah.
very quickly. So, again, it's really important that the hotels are looking at how to humanize their guest experience with
Yeah.
that local community around them.
Yeah, I think it's a completely fair concern. If they're in the same marketplace and they have already sort of grasped that area of the industry or market, the hoteliers are going to have to think very quickly and very much on their feet, I suppose,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
how they're going to not just address it, but address it in a way that competes and is
Hmm.
arguably either just as good or if not better, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, they're all going to be
exactly.
fighting for it.
Yeah. And I always think like hotels have the advantage. They've got the facilities. I've got the conference room to do the pottery classes. I've got
Yeah, yeah.
so I think they have an advantage. I just hope that hoteliers listening start forging ahead because the
Yes.
short-term rental markets are quickly on the hills in terms of
Yeah.
fighting for that occupancy now.
That's again, I had no idea about that. Uh, the essence of that, bringing it back to human, as I said
Yeah.
a moment ago, it's very much themed throughout this.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's something in that.
So that's the trends, Q1 in 2026. I'm really interested, Tom, to see when I come back for, after the summer, I think it will
Yes.
be,
Yeah.
so end of Q2. I have a feeling there's going to be a bit of a shift to some more robotics and AI in these guest experience.
Really?
I
Okay.
do. I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's an industry insider perspective and it's not coming from the guests, but like the robots, the hotel technology, what's going to be guest facing when it comes to AI, the
Yeah.
tolerance to AI. If you look at voice, for example, and how voice has supported the guest experience
Hmm.
and the advancements, it's seamless, it's cool, it's easy, guests want it. I'm interested to see how that translates into the guest experience on property and where
Yeah.
AI, what part of these humanized parts will be hybrid. I don't know. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm interested to see.
Well, I was going to say, we'll see what the data tells us.
We'll see what the data tells
You
us
know,
in
we'll
three
see what
months'
the data tells us.
time. Yeah.
But no, Danica, it's again, I love these episodes because I get to learn loads of stuff. I think it's really value added content for the people listening. And again, it's telling us things that I genuinely didn't know, and I think the data is telling us things that we can now use, and hopefully we get people in the comments saying,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I tried this and it worked," or
Yes,
maybe
maybe we
even
could bring on somebody. We could have a
that'd be
hotelier come
so
join
cool.
us on the next one. That would be amazing.
If
And
if
maybe
you
if you
know anybody that could
Yes.
be good,
Okay.
hey, let's do
Let's
it.
see if we can find, let's go back over, a sweat jetter, a flex lux, a
Yeah,
VIP pet owner, a thrill of the find hotelier.
yeah,
And Tom, if you could put the link to the TripAdvisor,
of course.
I'll send it to you. That's
Yeah,
also
yeah,
would be good for everyone to read it in their own time as well.
absolutely,
Not
absolutely.
sponsored by TripAdvisor, I should say. Open to sponsorship booking
I
in
was gonna say
TripAdvisor.
if they
We're
want to,
open.
give us a shout.
But yeah, maybe I'll use Google's research on the next one. That's only fair.
Keep it impartial.
Keep it
Um,
impartial, yeah.
but no, Danica, thank you so much. I know how busy you are. It's great to
Oh,
have
I
you
love
back
it. Yeah,
on.
yeah. Thank you,
Um,
Tom.
And everybody, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you for tuning into this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We're looking forward to seeing you in the next quarter, so towards the end of Q2, where we get to catch up on all things data, all things guest experience. So thank you so much for tuning into this one, and we'll see you in the next one.